Hello friends, welcome back. In this video, we will attempt one more reading comprehension exercise that is generally asked for CAT, MAT, GMAT and other management entrance examinations. Usual, provided the exercise as a PDF for you to attempt. So please attempt the exercise first by clicking on the link provided in the video description. Then after your attempt, come back and watch the video so that your understanding becomes clear and you can find out which were the mistakes you made in the comprehension as well as in the application of logic. So better watch the video after attempting the exercise. All right, now we will straight away go to the passage. So we will tackle the passage paragraph by paragraph so that you are able to clearly see the or get the sense of the passage. What is the first paragraph saying? It is saying that between the periods of within a 20-year period from 1910 to 1930, there was a migration of black workers from the southern part of the United States to the northern part of the United States. And around 10% of the black population migrated from the south to the north. And the majority of this migration happened between the years 1916 and 1918. And this is it is assumed that the majority of the migrants were from the rural areas of the southern states during this migration period called the Great Migration. So they had hailed from the rural areas. And why these people or black people from the rural areas of the southern states moved to the north? There were two factors that influenced their migration. One was the collapse of the cotton industry in the south. So most of the black workers in rural areas in the southern states were employed in the cotton industry, but due to some fall weevil infestation or some disease that has been caused to the cotton plants, so the cotton industry became cotton cultivation became might have faced problems. So the rural people might have found difficulty in getting jobs. So as a result of which they started migration. Second factor, and this fall weevil infestation started in 1998. So just before 1910, that means almost 10 years, this infestation might have occurred. So the cotton cultivation might have come down. So this forced the people to start migrating between the years of 1910 and 1930. This is the first reason that is given. And what is the second reason? In 1914, the Second World War or the First World War happened. And most of the vacancies for jobs or most of the jobs in the northern part of the United States were filled by the immigrants from Europe. But when the World War started in 1940, this immigration stopped. Cessation of immigration means this immigration from the Europe stopped as a result of which there was a lot of demand for workers in the northern United States. So the people from the southern United States who were already having a lot of problems finding work in the rural areas, they started migration. So this was the assumption. So the passage very clearly says that it has been frequently assumed. So this is not clearly proved, but assumed that it is mainly the black people from the rural areas of the southern United States that migrated to the north because of the two reasons. So because of this assumption, the conclusion by the people who did some research was that these migrants who traveled from the southern rural areas of the southern United States to the northern United States, they did not succeed economically in the north. So the subsequent lack of economic mobility in the north means after their migration to the northern United States, they were supposed to succeed economically. That is why they migrated, right? But they did not succeed economically. Why? What was the result? Because they were basically from the rural background in the southern United States. So because they are basically from the rural background, they are unfamiliar with urban living. So they don't know how to live in a city and they don't have any industrial skills. So the first paragraph is basically arguing that the lack of economic success of the black workers who migrated from southern United States into the north during the Great Migration was due to their rural background. That was the argument that is given. Now, the author says that whether this argument is true or not. So he is trying to find certain weaknesses in this argument. What is the weakness? He says that we actually do not know it is whether it is the rural workers who migrated from the south to the north. So in the first paragraph itself, it is clearly stated that it has been frequently assumed that, but not proved, that the majority of the migrants it came from rural areas. So he says that this could have been a misconception. So because it is only an assumption, it is not clearly proved that it is the rural black workers from the south who migrated to north, because this has not been rigorously investigated. Whether this is true or not is not investigated. And on the contrary, other investigations also document an exodus of from the rural southern areas to rural southern cities, means prior to the Great Migration. So before the period of 1910 and 1930, there was a very big migration. What is an exodus? A large number of people moving from one place to another place suddenly is known as an exodus. So there was an exodus from rural southern areas to southern cities prior to the migration. So a lot of people had migrated from the rural parts of southern United States to the cities in the southern United States before the Great Migration. And he says that the author says that it is possible that the same migrants might have moved to northern United States after 1910. So he says that uh, uh, why this argument in the first paragraph seems to be doubtful, because it is not clearly proven that it is the rural black workers from the southern United States that migrated to the north during the Great Migration. He says that there were several documents to prove that there was a there was a very big migration of uh, black people from the rural parts of the southern United States to the cities in the southern United States before the Great Migration. And these same people might have migrated from the cities in the southern United States to northern United States during the period mentioned in the paragraph. And and he also states that there is a, in 1910, as per the federal census or as per the government census in 1910, 10% of the total black workforce was engaged in manufacturing and mechanical pursuits, which is called the industrial sector. So most of the industrial sector, as per the federal census, consisted of manufacturing and mechanical pursuits, out of which 10% of the black workforce were engaged in these particular industries. And we know that the 10 percentage of the black population had migrated during the Great Migration. So he says, or the author says, that the same 10 percentage of the people who were engaged in manufacturing and mechanical pursuits, normally manufacturing and mechanical will be in cities, because in rural areas it will be only agriculture. So these people will be living in cities and they are skilled workers engaged in manufacturing and mechanical pursuits. So they are already urban workers. So that is why he says that the same 10 percentage of the black workforce who were already in the cities in the southern United States might have migrated to the north, and not the rural workers as stated in the first paragraph. So this is why he says that this great migration could easily have been made up entirely by this group of 10 percentage of the black workers who were already employed in the cities in the industry. So they were skilled workers in the cities in industries in southern United States. But then comes the argument: why would the well-settled black workers who are already employed and who are living in the cities, why they would be enticed to move, or what motivates them to move? Means they are already employed in the cities in the southern United States. They are skilled workers, so they might be getting good salaries. So why they should move? So this is the counter argument in this particular paragraph. So by reading the two paragraphs, you can see that first it was assumed that it was the black workers or the rural workers in the rural black workers in the southern United States who migrated to the north during the Great Migration. When the author says that this may be doubtful, because of the reason that there was a very big migration of black workers from the rural areas to the cities even before 1910, and almost 10% of the total black population were already employed in the cities in industries. So they are skilled workers settled in the cities, and these 10% might have moved to the north. So that is, and then the question arises: why these well-settled black workers who are skilled and who are used to living in the cities choose to move from the southern cities to the northern United States? So the reason is given in the third paragraph. It says that out of this, the 10% of the black workers who are engaged in skilled labor in the cities, 35% were artisans, means blacksmiths, masons, carpenters, etc. And the remaining 65% were in other industries. And all of them were facing problems. The artisans were facing a problem in the sense that their jobs were being mechanized. So there was a lot of competition because of the mechanization competition. So there was some competition for these jobs. Means a lot of other artisans might be coming in. There was mechanization and obsolescence. Obsolescence means their skills are getting obsolete or outdated. So they are not getting their skills updated according to the new technology. So they are becoming obsolete. So because of this, they were facing pressure in finding jobs. And what about the other people? There also they were have the other people who were industrial workers who are not artisans. They also were facing problems because of the migration from the rural areas to the urban areas in southern United States. Why the rural people were coming to the urban areas? Because of the earlier stated infestation for the cotton plantation or the problems in the cotton plantation. So a lot of issues were happening. So they might have found difficult to find jobs, as a result of which a lot of not only black but even white workers were moving from the rural areas in the southern United States to the urban areas. So when these workers move to urban areas, they will be demanding jobs or they will be looking for jobs. So these people who are engaged in other industries where there is not much skill needed, there other people from the rural areas are coming and competing with them. So the wages are getting reduced. So the wages in the southern United States are already low. And because of these pressures, the wages were still getting reduced for the urban workers in the southern United States. So, and they knew from the labor recruiters, means people who are recruiting people for jobs and all, and from the black press. What is black press? The newspapers that are mainly meant for the black people. So, from the labor recruiters and the black press, these workers in the cities in southern United States understood that they can earn more as an unskilled worker in northern United States than they can earn as a skilled worker in southern United States. Obviously, skilled workers will be getting more pay. So, but in southern United States, their pay was getting reduced. So they understood or they realized that they could get more salary in northern United States, even as an unskilled worker, than they get as a skilled worker in southern United States. So this prompted them to move from cities in the southern United States to the northern United States. So that is the reason, or that is the counter argument to the question that is raised in the second paragraph. Why would the urban workers, black urban workers who are well settled in the cities in the southern United States, want to move to northern United States during the Great Migration? The answer lies in the fact that the wages were already low in the southern United States in the cities, even for skilled workers. Then they were facing a lot of competition. Then the unskilled workers also were getting a lot of problems because of the migration from the rural parts of the southern United States to the urban areas due to the problems in the cotton sector. So the wages were getting low. So that is why the urban workers or the black urban workers in the southern United States chose to migrate to the northern United States. So this is why the first argument or the first conclusion that the lack of economic progress of the people who migrated from the south into the north was due to their rural background becomes doubtful. So the passage ends with the assertion that the first argument that is given in the first paragraph that the black people who migrated from the south to the north were not economically successful because they were basically from a rural background. They did not have any skilled workmanship, as a result of which they could not succeed in the north. Finally, the passage is that this argument is doubtful because the workers who migrated from the south to the north need not be rural workers. They could have been urban workers who are skilled also because of the above stated reasons. So the lack of economic progress is not due to the rural background. So what was the exact reason for the black people who migrated from the south to the north not succeeding economically in the north is not given in the passage. That is the not at all stated. The passage is not trying to find out the actual reason for the lack of economic progress. The passage is that whatever reason that is generally thought of, that is not the correct reason, or that is a doubtful reason. So this is the passage. So objective of the passage is to say that the general belief regarding the lack of economic success of black workers who migrated from the south to the north is a wrong belief. That is the essence of the passage. So, for your understanding, I have given the extract of the passage in a simple language. So, if you want, you can pause the video and go through the extract. That will help you understand whatever I have stated just now in your own pace. So, now we will go to the questions. Once you have understood the passage, the answers become very, very simple. So, this is the advantage of understanding a passage well. As you might have seen from the exercise, there are 8 questions. I have given you 15 minutes. So if you are going to take around 4 minutes to thoroughly understand the passage, 8 questions you can very easily answer in 11 minutes, so that in 15 minutes you are able to complete the entire exercise. So question number 1, the author indicates explicitly that which of the following records has been a source of information in her investigation. So what record has been used by the author for her investigation to prove that whatever she is proving. So there is only one record stated in the passage. What is that record? If you go through what is the only official record that is stated in the passage? The federal census. So we are talking about the census or the federal census, that is the only official record. No other record is stated in the passage. Then it only one there here it says numerous investigations document and exodus. So it says that there is a documentation regarding a mass migration of people from rural southern areas to southern cities. But what is that document is not very clearly stated. So that's not a clear answer. Whereas here it says that the federal census or the government census of 1910. So as per the government census of 1910, around 10% of the total black force were engaged in mechanical and manufacturing industries, which were considered the entire industrial sector. So the mechanical and manufacturing industries were considered the industrial sector as per the federal census in 1910. And here around 10% of the total black workforce were engaged. So that is the meaning. So very clearly the answer here is Federal Census of 1910. The passage is not saying anything about United States Immigration Service. It is not saying anything about payrolls. It is not saying anything about volume of cotton exports. And it is not saying anything about the advertisements of labor recruiters. It only says that labor recruiters were, and the black press, through the labor recruiters and the black press, the workers got to know that the wages were higher in the northern United States. The question is, which is the explicit record that is indicated by the author? Explicit means very clear or without any ambiguity, without any doubt, very directly stating which is the record that the author is stating directly. So this is not at all stated. It is only hinted that labor recruiters were saying, and the black press, whether it is through an advertisement or not, it is not given. So it is not explicit because The passage does not say that it is labor recruiters are giving advertisements in newspapers or not wrong, not correct. So this you cannot need not consider. This is very clearly stated the federal census of 1910. So this is the only option where the document that is used by the author to support her idea. So option D will be the answer. All right. The second question. The passage, the author anticipates which of the following as a possible objection to her argument. So once you understand the passage clearly, you know that the author is basically arguing that the lack of economic progress of the black workers who migrated from the south to the north was not due to the rural background, because these people were basically from the urban uh, areas of the southern United States. So, what is the objection? What is the possible objection to that argument? And the author is anticipating it. What will happen when the author anticipates an objection, or when the other author understands that there will be an objection? She will try to address that objection, right? So, what is the possible objection that she is trying to address? Very clearly what is given in the last line of the second para. So she says that once she says that it is not the rural workers in the southern United States who have migrated, but the urban workers in the southern United States who migrated to the north, then she says that uh, uh, it would be surprising to argue why an employed group of people who are comfortable in the southern cities would want to move to the north. Then she said that that explanation to that reason will be in the labor conditions that then prevailed in the north, or the because of the labor situation in the cities in the southern United States, the urban workers in the southern United States wanted to move to a better place where their wages are higher. So this logical objection the author is anticipating, and she is addressing that objection, or she knows that the moment she says that the urban workers from the south have moved to the north, then people will start saying why the urban workers who are skilled workers who are used to city living, who have adjusted to the life in the cities, and who have are skilled, why would they leave their security and their environment and want to move towards a different or an unfamiliar setting? And she says, and she gives the reasons for that movement, or why they would move. So that is why the author is expecting this objection, and she is trying to address that objection. So she is anticipating the objection, and then she is addressing the objection. So very clearly, what will be the answer? Option C, it is not likely that people with steady jobs would have reason to move to another area of the country. This will be the objection. So this will be the possible objection. The moment she says that black workers in the southern cities of the southern United States had migrated, then people will ask why would people with steady jobs in cities want to move to another area of the country. So that is the objection, and then she is addressing that objections. C is the answer. For the sake of argument, we can go through the other options. Option A, it is uncertain how many people actually migrated during the Great Migration. So it is very clearly stated that there are 10% of the black population migrated. So this is a fact, and there is no objection that the author is anticipating. If the author expects an objection, she would have very clearly given the documents to prove that this is correct. So this will not be an anticipated objection. The eventual economic status of the Great Migration migrants has not been economically adequately traced. Again, if the argument is that a lot of people who migrated from the south to the north have economically succeeded, then she might have addressed that argument, or she might have found some points to show that no, most of the black workers who migrated did not succeed economically. But here she says that most of the black workers who migrated had not succeeded economically, and there is no anticipation of any objection to that. So if there is any anticipation, she might have given some points to support her claim. So that is why this is not a possible objection that the author is anticipating. Option D, it is not true that the term manufacturing and mechanical pursuits actually encompasses the entire industrial sector. Here also there is no objection because she is putting an official document. So when she is quoting an official document, there cannot be any objection. So this cannot be an objection, and the author is also not providing any additional proof to clarify it. So means this is not something that is anticipated also. Option E, of the black workers living in southern United States, only those in a small number of trades were threatened by obsolescence. If that has been the case, then it would have been clearly explained by the author. But the author is not doing any further explanation. So there is she is not anticipating any objections to this particular statement that the black workers were facing problems due to obsolescence or due to their skills not getting updated. So this is also not a possible objection that the author is anticipating. So the only possible objection that the author is anticipating is option C. So that is why she is trying to clear that objection, or she is trying to weaken that objection by stating the reasons why people in the cities of the southern United States would, with steady jobs, would want to move to another area of the country. So option C will be the clear answer. Question number 3. According to the passage, which of the following is true of the wages in southern cities in 1910? And this is again a very, very easy question. So from reading the entire passage, what you can understand means the wages in the southern United States were getting lower and lower because of the competition, mechanization, obsolescence, as well as the migration of rural workers of the southern states into the cities. So, what you can say, option A, they were being pushed lower as a result of increased competition. Good answer, keep it in your mind. They had begun to rise. No, the city wages of southern cities were not rising. If they were not rising, why would the city workers want to migrate to the north? So, wrong. Option C, they had increased for skilled workers but decreased for unskilled workers. Again, wrong. The passage very clearly says, the third paragraph, that both the skilled workers as well as the unskilled workers were facing problems. So it was not increasing for the skilled workers and decreasing for unskilled workers is wrong. Option D, they had increased in large southern cities but decreased in small southern cities. The passage is not mentioning anything about the large or small southern cities. It is not making any distinction like that. It only says that the wages in the cities in southern United States were getting lower and lower for both skilled and unskilled workers. So that's again wrong. Option E, they had increased in newly developed industries but decreased in the older trades. Again, something that is not stated in the third paragraph, so you can ignore it. So the clear answer is option A. They were being pushed lower as a result of increased competition. So option A will be the answer. See, we are only talking about the southern cities, not the entire cities in USA. Southern cities wages were getting lower. Northern cities wages were still high. Why? Because of the lack of European immigrants, because of the World War there. So that is why there must have been demand for jobs, and that is why the wages were high in the northern cities. In the southern cities, this was the situation. So option A will be the answer. Question number 4. The author cites each of the following as possible influences in a black worker's decision to migrate north in the Great Migration. So what were the reasons for the black workers' decision to migrate from the south to the north? And you have to find something which is not a reason, exception. So we have to find something which is not a reason for the black workers to migrate from the south to the north. Wage levels in northern cities. True, because wage levels in northern cities is higher than the wage levels in southern cities. So that is this is definitely a reason. Labor recruiters. Again, passage says that the black workers understood from labor recruiters. The black workers were aware through labor recruiters and the black press that they could earn even more as unskilled workers in the north than they could as artisans in the south. So, through the labor recruiters and the newspapers that are meant for the black people understood that even an unskilled worker in the northern United States was higher, their wages were higher than the that of a skilled worker in the southern United States. So that would have prompted them to migrate. So this is definitely a reason for the people to migrate. So not your answer. Wage level is a reason. So not our answer. Labor recruiter is a reason. Not our answer. Competition from rural workers. Again, this is a reason. Once the rural workers started migrating to the southern cities, they started competing with urban workers for the jobs. So the wages went down. So this is again a reason. Voting rights in northern states, not a reason, because the black workers were not bothered about the voting rights, because the passage is not mentioning anything about the voting rights. So this cannot be a reason, as it is not stated in the passage. Could be your answer. The black was definitely a reason. So option B is the answer. Very clearly, you can easily answer this one. Option 5, question number 5 rather. It can be inferred from the passage that the EC conclusion mentioned in the last sentence is based on which are the following assumptions. So what is the EC conclusion stated in the last para? The EC conclusion was the conclusion in the first paragraph, that the economic problems of the migrated workers in the north were due to their rural background. So that was the easy conclusion, and this is doubtful. So this is very, very important. So this is the final uh, point that the author is making. Because of the above reasons, we cannot say that the easy conclusion connecting the economic problems of the migrated workers to the north to their rural background is a doubtful conclusion, or is a doubtful conclusion. And what is the basis of this easy conclusion? So the easy conclusion is that if you are a rural black worker who has migrated, then you are not going to succeed economically. What is the assumption? Any rural worker without any skilled sets or skill sets, or without any skills in his or her uh, person, they are not going to succeed in the cities of the north. That is the assumption. So the conclusion is that the economic problems of the black workers who migrated was because of their rural background. So assumption, what is an assumption? What is a conclusion? We have very clearly discussed those things in the initial RC video on assumptions, facts, inferences, assumptions, and conclusions. So assumptions are supported by facts and but not stated in the argument. That is a assumption. So here the argument is that economic problems in the north for the black workers was because of their rural background. So what is unstated or what is implied is that any black worker who is from the rural areas will find it difficult to succeed in the northern city. This is the assumption. That is why it says that their economic problems are due to their rural background. So very clearly, what would be the assumption? Option C, people with rural backgrounds are less likely to succeed economically in cities than those with urban backgrounds. So the passage is saying that it was the the easy conclusion was that it was the people who are from the rural backgrounds who migrated, and that is why they did not succeed. So the assumption is that people with rural backgrounds are less likely to succeed economically in cities than those with urban backgrounds. So this is a good assumption that supports the conclusion. So this could be your answer. Option A, people who migrate from rural areas to large cities usually do so for economic reasons. Cannot be an extra assumption, because our conclusion is that they did not succeed. So we have to find an assumption that supports the conclusion why they did not succeed. So this is not a good answer. Option B, most people who leave rural areas to take jobs in cities return to rural areas as soon as it is financially possible for them to do so. We are not talking about whether people are going to return or not. So this is irrelevant. Our conclusion is not about people who migrate to cities returning to rural areas. Option D, most people who are unskilled workers are not willing to work as unskilled workers. This is again wrong, because the passage itself says that the skilled workers are willing to work as unskilled workers. And even if we assume this as correct, this assumption is not going to support the conclusion that the people who migrated did not have any skills, and that is why they did not succeed. So here it says the skilled workers. The conclusion is that the workers were unskilled. So how can you say that people who are once skilled workers are not willing to work as unskilled workers? This is completely irrelevant. Option E, people who migrate from their workplaces to other organizations are seldom undertake a second migration. Again, irrelevant. We are not talking about whether they will undertake a second migration or not. Our question or task is to find a statement that supports the conclusion that the people who migrated did not succeed economically because they were originally from rural areas. And the option C says that when you are from a rural area, you are not going to succeed economically in cities. So this is supporting that conclusion. So this is the assumption. All right. Question number 6. The primary purpose of the passage. What is the primary purpose of the passage? What is the primary purpose? Very clearly, it is to say that uh, the initial belief regarding the lack of economic success of rural black workers or lack of economic success of rural black workers who migrated from south to north was because of their rural background. So the passage wants to disprove this argument. So option A, support an alternative to an accepted methodology. Methodology. We are not talking about a methodology. Methodology means a process. We are not talking about a process here. We are talking about a belief and why that belief is not true. So we are supporting an alternative to an accepted methodology. Need not be a good answer. Option B, present evidence that resolves a contradiction. What is resolving a contradiction? Clarifying a contradiction. Is there any evidence to clarify a contradiction here? No. It only says that one argument is wrong, another argument is possible. So this is not resolving a contradiction. It is saying that one argument is wrong, another argument is correct. When you are resolving a contradiction, means you are reconciling both the ideas, or you are saying that both ideas can be true at the same time. So that is not possible here. Option C, introduce a recently discovered source of information. There is no recently discovered source of information given in the passage. So this is wrong again. Challenge a widely accepted explanation. Correct, because it says in the first paragraph that it is frequently assumed but not proved. That means this is this is an explanation that is frequently taken as correct, but it is not proved. So that assumption or that argument is challenged in the passage. So here you can say that this could be a possible answer. Keep it in your mind. Argue that option is argue that a discarded theory deserves new attention. We are not talking about any discarded. Discarded theory means a theory that has been dismissed as irrelevant or incorrect. So here it is not talking about a theory that was dismissed as irrelevant and reconsidering that theory. No, that is not the answer here. So option A is supporting an alternative to an accepted methodology. Because of the word methodology, it is not correct. Supporting an alternative to an accepted theory might be a correct answer because the current theory or the theory that is popular is that the the migrants did not succeed economically because of their rural background. So an alternative explanation that would have been correct, but since the word methodology is given, it's not correct. So the answer is challenging a widely accepted explanation. And one more reason why this alternative is supporting an alternative will be wrong is that see, the passage is not giving any reasons, any other reason for the lack of economic success of the migrants. So, if the passage had given some other reasons why the black workers who migrated did not succeed economically, then we can say there is an alternative theory. Here, the passage is only challenging the existing theory. It is not saying that some other, or it is not providing an explanation or an alternative where it is only challenging a widely accepted explanation. So option B is the only correct answer here. Question number 7. According to the information in the passage, which of the following is a correct sequence of workers from highest paid to lowest paid in the period between 1910 and 1993? So from the passage, we can see that the skilled workers are always paid higher, or artisans are paid higher than the unskilled workers, and that too, who might have been paid the highest from whatever information is given in the passage from the northern cities. Northern cities people are paid higher than the southern cities, and southern rural areas they might have been paid still lower. So the northern cities, artisans in the northern cities or skilled workers in the northern cities might have been paid the highest than the unskilled workers in the northern cities, because the passage itself says that uh, a skilled worker in the south can earn more money than as an unskilled worker in the north. Means an unskilled worker in the north is getting more wages than a skilled worker in the south. So obviously, a skilled worker in the north might be getting even more wages. So skilled worker in the north is first, then unskilled worker in the north, then skilled and unskilled workers in the south. Or you can say skilled workers in the south and unskilled workers in the south. So let us see artisans in the north, artisans in the south. Wrong. Artisan means skilled worker. So artisans in the north should be followed by unskilled workers in the north. So artisans in the north and south, again wrong. The artisans or the skilled workers in the south are not paid equivalent to the skilled workers in the north. If that had been the case, the skilled workers in the south would not have to the northern states. So this again is wrong. Option C, artisans in the north, unskilled workers in the north, artisans in the south. Correct, because the artisans or the skilled workers in the north are getting more highest, then unskilled workers in the north, then skilled workers in the south. So probable answer, keep it in your mind. Option D, artisans in the north and south. Again wrong, for the same reasons that is given in the option B. So you can ignore it. Artisans in the north and south, again wrong. So one, the moment you say artisans in the north and south are equally paid, means you are, that option itself is wrong. You need not consider it. So option C is the answer. So again, a very, very easy question. Once you read and understand the passage, you can easily solve this question without any effort. Option C will be the answer. All right, the last question. The material in the passage would be most relevant to a long discussion of each of the following topics. So the material in the passage is going to be relevant in what kind of discussions? So option A, the reasons for the subsequent economic difficulties of those who participate in the Great Migration. Probable answer, because the passage, as I said earlier, is not giving any alternative theory regarding why the black workers who migrated from the south to the north did not succeed economically. So then the subsequent discussion could have been why they did not succeed. Alternate theories could have been analyzed. So this is a possible answer. Keep it in your mind. Option B, the effect of migration on the regional economies of the United States following the First World War. We are not, so the passage is not discussing about the economic situation of the United States or the regional economies of the United States or the effect of the First World War on the regional economies. These are all supplementary ideas. So there is not enough material in the passage to support a discussion regarding this idea. So you cannot have this as an answer. Option is a transition from a rural to an urban existence for those who migrated in the Great Migration. So this would have been relevant if the first theory had been correct. Means people participated in the Great Migration were from the rural background and they moved to the cities in the north. But this is wrong as per the passage. So this change from a rural to urban existence for those who migrate in the Great Migration is not relevant because the passage challenges this notion. Since the passage is challenging this notion, there is no point in discussing about the same thing. So this is wrong. Option D, the transformation of the agricultural south following the gold weevil infestation. Again, a supplementary idea. This is not the main idea in the passage. So the passage does not have enough information for a subsequent discussion on this topic. So again, wrong. Option E, the disappearance of the artisan class in the United States as a consequence of mechanization. Same thing. It is only a supplementary idea that it is giving you the reasons for the skilled workers from the south migrating to the north. The passage does not have enough subject or points to have a discussion on the disappearance of the artisan class due to mechanization. So wrong. So very clearly, the passage has enough material to think about what could have been a possible alternative explanation on why the black workers did not succeed economically even after the migration. They migrated from the south to the north in order to improve their economic condition. They were not getting good wages in the south. That is why they migrated from the south to the north. But even after the migration, they did not succeed economically. So, what could have been the reason? So, since the passage is having a lot of material on the motive and the skill set of the people who migrated, the passage will have enough material to or enough relevance in this discussion regarding the subsequent economic difficulties. So this is the only answer that is possible. So option A would be your answer. So I hope you have found out the mistakes in your approach after listening to the explanation. See, the main thing is understanding the passage in its nitty-gritty uh, or the entire passage and its finer points have to be understood thoroughly. Then the attempt of the questions become very easy. You would sometimes need not even go back to the passage. Just from your memory, you can answer the questions. This is the importance of reading comprehension. Logical skills do play a role, but more than the logical skills, it is the reading comprehension. If you are able to develop the reading comprehension skill, the logical skills can be developed very easily and it will fall into place and you can easily answer the questions. So I hope this video has been useful in your quest to fine tune your skills. So if you have liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe so that I get motivated to come out with further videos because of the increasing reach and impact that I'm having. Thank you. Bye bye.